How many dreams have you tried to achieve only to quit because your self-doubt convinced you that you weren't good enough? After getting my bachelor's in psychology and using it to analyze Dragon Ball Z, I discovered a way to rewire your brain to actually fix your and overcome self-doubt. So in this video, I'll show 4 simple steps you can use to show up consistently and end your self-doubt so you can finally achieve your dreams. To start, I'll show you the first step to actually fixing your and ending self-doubt. Because without it, you'll keep falling into the same habits just like Gohan did. Right after the Cell games, Gohan had become the strongest Z fighter. However, over the next 7 years, he had stopped training to focus on his studies, and he slowly settled into a life of comfort. Because of this, when new threats emerged during the Buu saga, Gohan found himself significantly weaker and unable to handle the new threats that came his way. His mind and his body had adapted to the less challenging routine, reinforcing his habits of complacency. His brain had literally rewired itself to prioritize comfort over growth, and his strength had begun to decline. This is known as neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to rewire and adapt based on repeated actions and thoughts. Each time you give in to your self-doubt, you're reinforcing your brain's wiring for hesitation and fear, making it your default response when it comes up. Just like Gohan, your default to the baseline identity that you trained yourself to be through repetition. But neuroplasticity works in both ways. It'll take you in whatever direction that you point it, and the same way that you train your brain to hesitate, you can train it to act with confidence and clarity. Later in the series, Gohan was able to break those habits, retrain his mind, and reclaim his power. But how can you rewire your brain to break those habits? Gohan was able to break those habits because he got clear on what he was fighting for and why. This is the secret to becoming consistent. You need a clear goal and a real reason behind it. You need to ask yourself 2 simple questions. What exactly am I trying to do? And why do I want to do this? When you're trying to figure out what you're trying to do, you have to be as specific as possible so that there's absolutely zero confusion. You don't want to say, I want to post on YouTube. That's way too vague. You want to say something like, I want to post on YouTube at least once a week. That makes it clear enough for your brain to focus on. But having a goal alone isn't enough, because without something solid behind it, you'll fall short all over again. That's why once you identify your goal, you need to get to the root of it by asking yourself, why? Okay, so let's say your goal is to start a business. You want to start by asking yourself why until you get to the root. Why do I want to start a business? Okay, to make more money. Okay, why do I want to make more money? So I can work from home, okay? Why do you want to work from home? So I can have more time and flexibility. Okay, why is that important to you? So I can spend it with my friends and family. But why does that matter? Because I want to support them in life in ways that I can't do at work alone. And that's how you get to the root. Self-doubt and inconsistency thrive in uncertainty. So the more you clarify, the less your brain has to guess, and the easier it becomes to follow through. However, just knowing your goal isn't enough. And unless you learn this next step, doubt will keep slipping through. So you need to learn an important lesson that all the Z fighters must know. In Dragon Ball Z, the characters are martial artists. And one important lesson that martial artists must learn is that they can't solely rely on their eyes during combat. So they need a heightened sense of awareness to understand what's going on around them. The Z fighters do this by sensing energy, which is their opponent's key. They can sense when something's off or when a threat is approaching. This is the same kind of awareness that you need if you want to stay consistent and overcome self-doubt. You have to be able to detect the internal triggers that cause you to spiral into self-doubt before they take over. But how exactly do you detect those triggers? You build that kind of awareness by tuning into what's happening to you internally. And it starts by asking yourself 2 questions. What emotions pop up right before I quit? And what thoughts usually trigger my self-doubt? For example, let's say you're chasing the goal to make a YouTube video, and every time you sit down, you notice a tight pressure in your chest, and you start thinking that what you're doing isn't going to be good enough. Those thoughts and feelings are your triggers that cause you to fall into doubt. Simply becoming aware of what leads you to spiral helps you take back control. But if you don't catch what happens next, those triggers can quickly snowball into something that pulls you even deeper into doubt and inconsistency. So next, I'll show you what often happens when those triggers go unchecked by breaking down one of Gohan's biggest mistakes. During the Cell Saga, Gohan had achieved Super Saiyan 2, surpassing all the other Z fighters. Despite having enough power to immediately defeat Cell, he became cocky and toyed with him instead. This mistake allowed Cell to nearly self-destruct and forcing Goku to sacrifice himself. Gohan later repeated a similar mistake during the Buu Saga when he reached his ultimate form. His overconfidence and cockiness led him to waste time when fighting Majin Buu, which led him to ultimately losing the fight. Gohan's reoccurring mistake was that he naturally reverted to automatic responses when he was in a similar situation. The same thing can happen to us when we experience thoughts and feelings that can trigger self-doubt. We often fall right back into automatic responses whenever doubt shows up, and those habits end up reinforcing the doubt, making it stronger over time. So how can we change these automatic responses when experiencing doubt? In order to change your automatic responses, you have to pause and catch the thought, say it out loud, and then intentionally do the exact opposite of what your automatic habit is telling you to do. That's the second step to building consistency, interrupting the cycle before it takes over. Oftentimes, when you're experiencing doubt, you'll feel the urge to do something that gives you an immediate dopamine boost. Something like scrolling on your phone or procrastinating altogether. When those thoughts come up, ask yourself, what is my doubt trying to get me to do right now? Say it out loud, and then put barriers to stop yourself from falling into that negative pit, and replace the habit with something different, like going for a walk to clear your head and your thoughts to revisit the task, or doing a grounding exercise to calm your mind and to keep you showing up. But even if you interrupt those habits, you may still struggle to be consistent and fall back into doubt if you don't change how you approach your goals and your dreams to begin with. To make that shift, let's take a look at Goku's training on King Kai's planet. During the Saiyan saga of Dragon Ball Z, Goku travels to King Kai's planet to prepare for the upcoming Saiyan invasion. But when he arrives, he realizes that he can't even move because the planet's gravity is 10 times stronger than that of Earth's. And at first it feels like a setback, but King Kai doesn't throw him into intense training right away. He starts with the very first step, making Goku chase his pet monkey Bubbles. This was meant to help Goku learn how to control his energy under heightened gravity. Only after Goku takes a small, seemingly insignificant step does he begin learning powerful techniques like the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb. But what does Goku's training reveal to us about consistency and self-doubt? Goku's training arc shows us that in order to be more consistent, we need to start by redefining what success looks like. Way too often, we've set the bar so high that just thinking about the goal triggers doubt. When your goal feels too big, it's easy to spiral, and you start thinking, I'll never be able to pull this off. And from there, it's easier to quit than to try. But the truth is, you don't need to win the fight today. You just need to take the next small step. That's what King Kai taught Goku. Start where you are, not where you wish you were. Success is showing up for just 2 minutes, writing the one sentence, and putting your gym clothes on even when you don't feel like it. These may seem small, but they're proof that you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't run when it gets hard. And every small win your brain adapts, your momentum builds, and what once felt impossible becomes easy and secondhand nature. Overcoming self-doubt is a key to becoming consistent, but it can show up in different ways and stop you from becoming disciplined. So click on this video on your screen now to learn how Dragon Ball can help you build unbreakable discipline and finally overcome self-doubt.